So, hello and welcome to a new format. So, as you know from my other channels or from my other projects, I'm a lot into co-working spaces. And because I'm anyway working on learning to sing, learning music theory, I just thought, okay, I could stream that as well, share knowledge about editing, share knowledge about music theory, simply to motivate myself to get through the difficult stuff of music theory, and because I can learn best when I explain something. Okay, so before we start, I have to set up a few things and explain to you what's up for the coming weeks, hopefully months. So I plan to do a live stream every Tuesday, every Wednesday, and probably Saturday. I still have to find a proper date. Currently, I have set it to 7:30 German time or 3:30. No, it's I think okay. I think I have to adapt the. I think it's not 3:30 but 1:30. I think. Right, we have now. Yeah, 1:30, so I have to adapt that. So I will do this. Yeah, I've write it down. Okay. So I have started also a document where I simply create an outline of what I'm planning. It is similar to my series on editing and on writing, but music has a kind of a different approach than, for example, writing a longer novel or something like that. So that's something I will also look into the differences between writing a story, writing, I don't know, a non-fiction book, and writing music or playing music or singing music. So myself, I would count myself as someone who has little to no connection to music. That's why I started learning to sing, I think 6 years ago or 7. I think it's already 7 years ago. And I'm making a lot of progress there, but I always found, okay, it is always a little bit cloudy. Hence my project now is to create a little book with music theory, and I will expand that stream here step by step. I mean, that is now the first broadcast, so we'll expand it step by step by better I don't know, intro sequences or better graphics, and of course sound and music. For sound and music, the most critical issue for me at the moment is getting the right licenses, etc. So that is a work in progress. And while that is going on, I will focus on the lowest hanging fruits, and that would be simply learning about certain terms in music. So that sounds extremely boring. So what I plan with the book actually is not to just describe the individual definitions of those terms, but also introduce you, the reader, the singer, to how to sing if you're not really a singer or if you don't have much in common with music. Because that's where I come from. I'm not like the music fan who's who has 7 instruments and is singing since his childhood, or someone who is in a band, or someone who knows the top 1,000 pop songs and can recite them. So I'm nothing that. So I'm approaching it really from a perspective of someone who isn't really familiar with the idea of music, both singing, hearing, playing, creating. But what I personally find extremely interesting with music is the creative aspect. For example, creating tension in a piece of music and using that specifically without really explicitly telling the listener that this is now an exciting part. I mean, the same way I do with writing. So that's something I really like, and that's one of my main motivations to even get into music. Well, also because of the very reason it's not something I'm good at, but I'm really into learning things I'm not good at. Okay, so the low-hanging fruits is to look at music terminology. The challenge here is I have currently no big idea, like big plan how to outline this. I have a number of ideas. I have a whole research and brainstorming list of terms we could discuss, but I'm not yet sure what is the best way, with which one to start. So the start will mostly be random. I will do research live, basically, and we will then step by step think about, okay, what is a good sequence to explain certain terms. So should we start with rhythm? Should we start with chords? Should we start with bridges, etc., etc.? So there are lots of different terms, and they're all around. And sure, while if you're studying music theory, that is all something you have to learn. But my goal is really to find a path from a point of view of someone who doesn't know much about music to becoming at least an informed amateur. Okay, yeah, and the focus will be singing. So while I played piano in my childhood and here and there between, but that is not like there's not much knowledge for me there. My focus is really singing, and I don't know many other instruments, maybe a recorder, a little bit of guitar, but nothing I could like perform somewhere. Okay. So maybe just let's write it down. Let's just start what I can do best, writing down outlines for projects. So the outline will be, okay, we start from a point of a non-singer. Our goal is to explain complex music terms in the right sequence. So we don't want just a glossary or a dictionary. We want to have a logical path through the music theory instead of just listing everything and explaining everything. So that is the challenge I set myself to learn it myself and maybe to write an actual book. What I won't do is really write for market. So this is basically writing for myself. So if you're a writer, you would usually think about, okay, what kind of book will people read? What kind of book will they buy? This is not my focus. Okay, let's just jump into it, and I'll just write a number of terms down, and each of them could be I'll zoom a little bit. Each of them could be a little subsection. The music theory, and we'll see if we can use it. So I'll just the list is rather random, so I'll just type it down, type a few down, and then see if we can go deeper with that, or if we first need other definitions we first have to explain. So these are basically modes. Again, there's nothing behind it where I say, okay, first we discuss this, or first we discuss that. That will come out of the research. Triads. Okay, let's just take those. I mean, a starting point would be, of course, the Wikipedia. So, Rubato. So, hope this can be seen. One moment. Okay. Okay. Rubato. Okay. What I could also do is put a little. I mean, we're not in a boring space. We're in a music space. So let's add some background music. One moment. Quiet. So I'll just move it outside. Okay, I have to check the volume. Okay, so then we'll continue a little bit in the background. I might tone it down a little bit. Okay. So, rubato. So it is a tempo. And tempo rubato means it is a musical term referring to expressive and rhythmic freedom by a slight speeding up and then slowing down of the tempo of a piece at the discretion of the soloist or the conductor. Rubato is an expressive shaping of music that is part of phrasing. So before or in the 18th century, rubato meant expressing rhythm spontaneously with freedom. In many cases, it was achieved by playing uneven notes. This idea was used, among others, by Ernest Wilhelm Wolff and Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach. In addition to that, Leopold Mozart claimed that the accompaniment should remain strict in tempo. So it changed then. People were using the term as being able to move notes freely back and forth. Agricola interpreted it as stealing the time. And here in Chopin, it was a function to make a melody more emotional through changing the tempo by, for example, Alessandro Ritenuto. Oh, yeah, I think the exact pronunciation I also have to learn. And Syncopations. Chopin often played with melody subtly lingering or passionately anticipating the beat, while the accompaniment stayed at least relatively, if not strictly, in time. In this case, rubato is used as a concept of flexibility of tempo for a more expressive melody. So this seems to be one of the more complex ones. We will have to come back to it once we have more, maybe some earlier points. But we can already at least categorize it. So it is about tempo and provides freedom, or musical freedom. It's also called stealing time. Stealing the time. And I think what would be good here is examples, both in terms of notes and in terms of a musical piece. Maybe we'll find some and we can review it. For rubato. So, okay. Yeah, there are 2-hour videos at Hello Music Theory. So there is already a lot of written. So I'll have to see. Okay. So I'll show you this one. This seems to be a good resource here. It's a little bit filled with ads left and right. So there are 2 types of rubato. The older form used by the likes of Chopin or Mozart is less obtrusive and can be described more accurately as skewing the tempo rather than playing without reference to the marked time of a piece. Here the time is robbed from one note and is replaced by a time from another, producing a tempo that remains within the bounds of the marked tempo of the entire score. So basically this means like as if you would use a longer word for something and then, in a normal sentence, and then use a contraction later. So instead of saying I'm fine, you say, or I am fine, you say I'm wonderful. So I'm wonderful. So you have 4 syllables, and I am fine. Well, you have 3, so it wouldn't fit. But the idea is, okay, you make one thing longer and the other thing shorter. So stealing the time in terms of, okay, use more time in one part and less time in another. Maybe a comparison with a sentence, syllables, a contraction, etc. And of course, we need a better example to do example in music. And that is something also I'm working towards. Will next get myself a piano that I can actually use here in that setting, and we could then try to play it. So this would be actually good. Get a piano and play it and just try it out. Meanwhile, I could use an online piano, virtual piano. Zip. This is from onlinepianist.com. And I think I can just use the, okay. I'll share the desktop. Yeah, so okay. Oh dear. So again, I'm certainly not proficient with, so I'm using basically now the keyboard. So don't expect me to be to know any chords or something like that. So maybe this is something now to write down. Okay, what kind of chords need we? Again, I'll start at 0. I don't just assume we know something here. So an accord, or okay, it's chord in English actually. Chords. So the important part here can be, the important part is harmony. So what is harmony? That is another thing we need to know first. So this is actually a little bit mathematical. Harmony. So with harmony, you have basically each sound is a wave. Each sound is a wave, and the most basic wave is a sinus or cosinus wave, meaning it's just going up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. And each of those waves, so here we need to do example picture. Each of those waves can have a different length. So if you look at a sinus wave, or sine wave actually, sine wave or cosine wave. Do we have a nice image? Sine wave. Okay. Different length. Yeah, that is, for example, a nice picture. So this is from unity.com. Well, so at least they have a picture here. So basically, this is a very simple sound, and these are basically sine waves with different height, basically the volume. So this is also something we need to first explain. So subsection volume. Well, the volume of a sound is the height of the wave. So if it's just a small disturbance in the air, then it's just a small sound. And here is basically okay. It's the loudness is increasing, and then it's slowly going down, and then increases wieder down again, and goes up and down, and up and down. Okay. And you also have a length of the wave. Just like you have different length of, for example, light. You have different light length, and depending on the length of the wavelength, it is a different color. And with sound waves, we don't see them as colors, but as different tunes. So if I have this one, then it is long. Wait, yeah, this is very, very long drawn waves. While if I use this one, I have very short ones. So, and we have harmony if those waves overlap in a way that they really meet each other. And if they don't meet each other, then it's basically like noise. So if you have many different sounds together and they are not harmonic, then it's noise. So I just put many different sine and cosine, piano waves over each other. I have just noise. So for example, sorry for that. So it sounds just like noise. There's nothing that combines the different parts of it. So if we look at a few overlapping waves. We have a nice picture. So for example, this one. Here we go. This one here would be the same wave, but with a delay. So we have basically so it doesn't sound somehow disharmonic, but it's just two waves, one after the other. So we where was I? We recognize basically this part here. That those are two waves, one after the other. We can also have the same, but with or similar waves, but with a larger amplitude, meaning it's louder. I think I can't really do this with this one, so I make two sounds quickly, one after the other, one loud and one not so loud. I don't think it. Okay, this is not supported now by this online piano. I can't like provide a strength of the how with what strength or with what velocity I push the button. That is impossible with this online piano. So next step really will be that we look at real piano. So the only thing is I can create a sound with the same amplitude here. So amplitude of the wave. So yeah, and obviously it's a lot of mathematics, and that is actually something I'm very familiar with. So this helps, of course. So I don't think we have overlapping functions. Let me see for harmonics. Different overlapping, different wavelengths. Do you have a nice picture? You have only the amplitude. Oh, and another thing, even though I said, okay, sine and cosine waves, these piano sounds are not actually cosine waves. So if you want to hear the sound of a sine wave, this is actually rather boring. It simply sounds like this. Does this work? So that is more a sine wave. So it's not like that is not. Those are not sine waves here. But for simplification, it makes sense to discuss sine and cosine waves and then move on to the more complicated ones. Okay, I'm still looking for a nice picture of overlapping functions with different lengths. So, okay, so then we also have a phase shift. We already discussed this. Phase shift is if two identical sounds with a delay. So this would be looking like this image here. Yeah, just like this image here. With a phase shift basically. So those are two sounds, yeah. Okay, but still looking for chord. Okay, I think I found something. No. Convergence. They need to converge. So basically they need to be periodic. Okay. I think I found a nice website. No, that's just images. Yeah, so I found another nice work here. This is probably some sort of study work. Yeah, this is actually a little bit more complicated. So do we have another image? So, okay, so then I'll just explain it. So the basic idea, so that's a lot of mathematics. The basic idea is that after combining those different curves or sounds or waveforms, the result should still look like something that repeats. So if it's just noise, then you have just random ups and downs here. But anything that repeats, if that is the result of combining two sounds, then it is harmonic. So, and if you look at an example that you can also hear, I think. Oh, I actually found something. Okay, this is a nice graphic here. So here you basically have two different wavelengths. So the wavelength of blue is around 0.5 seconds probably, and the of the red one. It is. Wait, it is. Oh, no, yeah, right. It's okay. Of the red one, it is 0.2. So they will meet at the lowest common denominator, and that is 10. 1. So here you can see, okay, the lowest common denominator is 1 because 2 times 5 is 10. So they go up and down, up and down, up and down, and here they start a new wave. And instead of having those two waves, you could just use this one wave, and that is something we could probably call harmonic, because it's not going on chaotic, and we don't and our brain doesn't find any pattern. So whenever the brain finds a pattern, then it sounds nice, basically. And now let's look at a few example chords. I mean, there's a whole mathematics behind it, because you can imagine how many different combinations if you use 3 different sounds or 3 different tones, and it's not just sine waves or so, but piano, for example, and you want to combine them differently, and there's a lot of mathematics behind it, but the core of the matter is you have different sine waves, and when they meet, then it's, if they regularly meet, then it's harmonic. Of course, if you have 3, then it becomes even more complex, so maybe they will only meet much later. So for example, if you had a third one that has at 0.3 the wavelength, so it would go and then up, and then you would need the lowest common denominator of 2, 3, and 5, and that would probably be 3. So it would go on until it reaches 3. Okay, so now for chords, sample chords on the piano. So, for example, A major. Okay, here that's from School of Rock. They just list the different here. So, and I'll just play those. I just have to translate it into that strange. Okay. So A major would be and 9 and the P. So, and I think we can all agree that this sounds nice. So, and we have here a nice sound, and that is all here at A major. And we could then also try A minor, that is 1 on the left. So that was A major and A minor, and it is a different mood, major and minor. So, and then we have C major. That is going this one. No. And the third one is X. That's a little bit. And it's a little bit. So that is C major, and then we also have C minor. Oh, so that is something, and the same with the other ones as well. And all what that's all here are those different lines here, and for those tunes that meet actually and meet regularly, they sound nice, and all others don't sound nice. And that is the basic point. Okay. So we have a lot of here. So we have those different chords. So and we could just use this as a reference. And I'll just write here, chords sound nice when they're it's not really the proper expression, their sine waves meet regularly. And that's all to it. So what this is, of course, an open question, and that question I will just forward. When you're singing, you're not using necessarily chords. You're using chords, but not like 3 different ones, but you use a different apparatus. So that would be an interesting question. So can you produce chords with, piano chords with, for example, singing? Probably I have to think about it. Okay. So what else do we got? So, okay, already it seems, okay, we have to start really with mathematics, move on to harmonies, and then move on volume, phase shift, etc., etc. So, and for Rubato, that's where we started out. Here it is all about rhythm. So, as I now have the piano, I don't think I can play something in that regard. Basically it is, if you say, okay, we first, I think, need rhythm. And we need to investigate different rhythms. I mean, rhythm is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think I don't even do that right. 1, 2, I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you're doing rubato, it's probably, but don't take my word for it, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, I'm not a licensed music teacher or something like that. It is just something I'm wondering. So I will also need to search more about this. Okay, so we already have a lot of basic music theory. Let's move on. Okay, we have the chords doubled. I mean, we can copy the chords basically. No, I won't copy them. I will write them. Yeah, so those 12 chords. To-do list 12 chords, describe them. Then maybe with a picture with those as sine curves basically, or as sine waves. Okay. I would just say let's move on. I mean, those are basically all notes about how to organize it. About how to organize the book, and not yet all the details. So it is basically a form of brainstorming by just taking a number of individual terms, concepts, and trying to describe them, and then seeing, okay, to really describe it, we need a lot more about rhythm. We need all the other components to make progress here. So basically what that means, okay, the whole thing about rubato we will move to much later. So maybe we'll continue with the octaves. So, okay, in music, an octave or perfect octave is the interval between one musical pitch and another with double its frequency. So again, it comes from basically mathematics. So this also affects the whole way of how music notation is done, because the distance here between those individual notes is not like I don't know 50 hertz or something like that, but it is actually a factor going smaller and smaller and smaller. I don't think I have at least here's an example. Let's listen to that. So, and basically the sine wave between the first and the last one is like the sine wave we had. No, if it was like meeting it exactly here. So if the blue one had a frequency of okay, it's a little bit different. Okay, the red one has a frequency of 5 here, and it would need a frequency of 2.5. Then they would meet here. The frequency means how many per second here. So if the blue one had a frequency here of 2.5, meaning 2.5 waves per second, then they would meet here. and it would have the twice or half the frequency of the red one, meaning it would be an octave. So octave, the frequency doubles, halves with each octave step. To do sine, curves, picture. Okay. I mean, that is basically it, and everything around it is just additional theory. Interesting it becomes, of course, if we go into notation to find out, okay, sure, that is an octave, but how much distance here is between the individual ones. That's one thing. And the other thing is coming back to harmonies. So an octave is basically also an harmony. So it would here be, let me check. So let's just play this. I think I need a better piano here. So the C is starting here. That's the I. Oops. Yeah. So we have basically here an octave. I'll just show you again. So we have I. So I'm basically playing now an octave, and it is harmonic because they meet every 2 cycles basically, while one before that doesn't sound really right. So you have like a chaotic form of music, but those sound nice. Those form an octave, and in the other direction, I think it is then Q. That's also harmonic, but if I just put in a little bit disharmony in, that sounds awful. Sorry. Okay, so we have that. So make examples, showing harmony with octaves on the piano. Again, so to understand all that, to understand octave, to understand harmony, you really have to understand waves. That I think that is the point. So maybe we'll do a proper introduction to waves. To wave, sinus, cosine, just like in school. Okay, so that is octaves. So from my side, I understand it. I hope you understand it as well. Try it on the piano and see what's coming out of it. Moving on. So what else do we have? Triads. I don't know. Can't remember what that was. So not the organized crime syndicate, but in music theory. Okay, so this has a little bit to do with what we just had. So in music, a triad is a set of 3 notes that can be stacked vertically in thirds. The term Harmonic Triad was coined by Johannes Lippius in his Synopsis Musicae Novae. Triads are the most common chords in Western music. When stacked in thirds, notes produce triads. The triad members from lowest pitch to tone to highest are called the root, the third, and the fifth. Okay, now we have to... okay, they also have those nice signs there. Let's play. Oh, I can't see that. And I can't hear it. Wait. Okay, this doesn't work. Okay, I think those are the same as chords. So I will just search chords versus triads. Okay, a triad is also called a chord as well as harmony. Harmony also refers to chord progression. The lowest note of a triad when it is stacked in thirds. Yeah, well, we already had that. So let's read here. So what is the difference between a triad and a chord? A triad is a type of chord, so composed of only 3 notes. So you can have chords with more than 3. So triads are chords with 3 notes. Okay. So yeah, and not all chords are triads. Yeah. So now we have those triads, but now we need to learn chords with 4 notes. I mean, theoretically, you can have any number of... no, where did we have that? We can have any number of... Where's that nice picture? We can have any number. Ah, yeah. So here there are 2, but we can have any number. We can have 3. I mean, I played before 2 with the octaves, but we can have 3. We can have 4. We can have 1,000 and producing a harmony. That is not, I mean, not sure how that would sound, but it is technically a harmony if they repeat. Yeah, and 4-note chords are basically triads with 1 more chord, so it's not like nothing special. So and chords. So chords can have any number of notes. 2-note chord, e.g., for example, an octave or 2 octaves. 2 notes of an octave, 3-note chord, also called a triad. So triads are just special forms of chords. That's easy. So, and we should put the introduction somewhere at the top and the rhythm further down. So we're already managing to rearrange it. So what else do we have? We have staccato, legato, probably again to do with rhythm. Oh, okay. Okay, staccato of C in English. So, and from the Wikipedia article, Staccato is a form of musical articulation. In modern notation, it signifies a note of shortened duration, separated from the note that may follow by silence. It has been described by theorists and has appeared in music at least since at least 1676, and it looks like this. Those points. So let's just listen to it. I'm not sure if that works. So that was staccato. Okay, so the main points are without staccato. So basically they're then stopped. Even though the next, you don't like play it faster, you only stop the note earlier. So shortened note, you don't play it faster, the note itself is shortened. Well, it's a little bit, okay, the duration of the, sound itself is shortened. That's all. What is missing here, of course, is, okay, what kind of effect does that have? That is something advanced effect on, on how it sounds, on the emotion, where to use it, etc. If you're writing a story, you could also say, okay, what's the use of having a wise man figure in a story like Yoda in Star Wars or something like that? What's that use? Or what's the use of narration or so? It's you can learn how to use it, but when to use it and for what purpose to use it, that is, I think, interesting. Okay. And we have legato, and I think that will be all for today. Legato. So, I'll just do it full screen. Oops. Zip. Okay. In music performance and notation, legato, Italian for tied together, indicates that musical notes are played or sung smoothly and connected. That is, the player makes a transition from one note with no intervening silence. So Staccato war das? What was this? So basically, legato means played or sung smoothly without interruption. Notes are connected. The player makes a transition from note to note with no intervening silence. So the first one was staccato, then legato, and then legato plus vibrato. And vibrato is if you look at, you basically add another sine wave to it. So you could, wait, do we have an example? So this would be a, do we have an example? Oops, that was just a reminder. Vibrato sine wave. Yeah, I think it would simply be this. Do we have an image? No. Ah, okay. So basically it is relevant for, I think, the... okay, that's actually something I need to look into, if it's just the amplitude that goes up and down. I mean, you can say it's I mean that's without vibrato, and okay, I can't sing that as well. That it goes up and down, up and down, up and down, up, but I'm not sure if it is actually just the amplitude or also if it's going back and forth in terms of frequency. It's a question I will write down. Does the frequency swing or just the amplitude? I think it's the amplitude. Okay, so so this was the start of the first lesson, of the first work of the first co-working space on music, and I will just continue 2 times a week, and in the beginning a lot more theory, later a lot more song analysis, singing, and trying things out. I'm also looking into getting a proper piano that I can use here and show here, and I'm looking into karaoke that we actually sing online. In that regard, thank you for watching, and see you again on Saturday if you're interested in music, or every day at 9 o'clock. I mean, right now in 10 minutes, about writing a novel. All the in and outs with publishing, etc., etc. So I will then switch over to the other stream. So see you on the same channel later, or see you later on Saturday. So thank you very much, and yeah, have a nice week. So, okay, bye.